Okie dokie, so I'm going to talk about my feelings on SoulEater in today's video. Now, I first got into SoulEater back when it was airing for the first time back in 2008. I remember my best friend in real life invited me to his house, and at the time, he didn't go into a lot of detail about a special new anime that he found. He just said, dude, I found something that is totally going to beat the crap out of Naruto. Because back in 2008, Naruto was pretty much like the bread and butter of like anime, at least for me personally. I believe it had just aired 1 year prior to 2008. Back, I think it was on Cartoon Network at the time. So Naruto was pretty much the thing at that point. And my friend said he had just discovered an anime that he felt was better than Naruto, so I was very curious about that. So I went to his house and we started watching it. And let me see, I'm trying to remember what my initial thoughts were because I remember seeing Maka. I remember really liking the art style in SoulEater because if you've seen SoulEater, you know that it has that whole, what's the word, Frankenstein kind of horror-esque. It's kind of hard to explain, but it has like a horror look to it or whatever. So I remember watching it, and I remember thinking Mako was pretty hot. Like it might sound weird to say this because it kind of seems like most people that I talk to Sawyer about, they don't really think very much about Mako. Like most girls that I talk to about Mako just think that she's a bitch, which I don't understand why. I mean, granted, Maka did have her bitchy moments in the series, but I don't know, I always thought she was hot. You know what I mean? And truth be told, I always felt kind of jealous of Soul, especially because I once read this fanfic where it was kind of like a rated M fanfic. Like I'm trying to remember what the details were. The idea was that Soul was in his weapon form, and Mako was essentially using him to masturbate or something. And I think ever since then, I always found. Well, I'm kind of getting off subject, but the bottom line is that I always thought Mako was hot. That's the bottom line. So in the first episode, I thought she was pretty hot. And I remember really liking Blair. Like, I think Blair, like, if you didn't know anything about Soul Eater when you first got into it, if you're watching the first episode, I think if you're a guy, Blair was really somebody that really kind of got your attention. At least that's how it was for me. And let's see. I remember the thing that really got my attention was seeing how close that Maka and Soul were as friends. Because obviously in the first episode of Soul Eater, you essentially see both of these characters arguing a lot, and then after a while you start thinking to yourself, how the fuck did these two become partners since they don't really seem like they get along? It's like you always have Mako who's bitching at Soul, and Soul is pretty much like, fuck you, I don't want to, listen to you and your nagging ways or whatever. But it's it's just really interesting how when you get to the end of the first episode and you see how Soul and Maka are able to defeat Blair, during that last, moment, it really signifies that despite the fact that these two argue with each other, and despite the fact that they don't always get along, obviously they have a special connection. They obviously have, a partnership that is able to withstand whatever happens, whether it's them not getting along. And as you watch Soul Eater, you pretty much see, because Maka and Soul, their partnership is tested constantly. Like, they're constantly put into these situations where you kind of think, okay, they're probably not going to be friends anymore. They're probably going to, but their friendship and their connection to each other is so strong that they're able to just withstand like literally all these crazy things that happen within the series. And I think that's one of the meanings that Soul Eater tries to convey to the viewer. It really tries to convey, the partnership that these characters have with each other. Because the same thing can really be said about Black Star and Sobaki as well too. I mean, granted, Black Star and Sobaki don't go through nearly as much as Soul and Maka, seeing as they're, Black Star and Sobaki are two different people compared to, Maka and Soul. You have Sobaki, who is the, shy, kind of conservative, really hot girl. I just thought I'd throw it out there. She's pretty freaking hot. And you have Black Star, who I essentially thought was just a fucking Naruto clone the very first time I saw him with me. So I was kind of like, Naruto, is that you? But I always kind of thought Black Star was kind of a cooler version of Naruto. Like, I thought, for one thing, he had really cool, like, cooler looking clothes. I mean, it's weird because I always thought Naruto having, like, a fucking tracksuit was just, it made no fucking sense. in my opinion, it didn't make any sense. But I always thought that, you know, Black Star had a really cool outfit, and I just loved his like really loud and really like outgoing personality. And it's funny because Black Star was one of those characters who lost more fights than he won. In fact, correct me if I'm wrong, but Black Star technically only won like maybe 2 fights in the whole series, if I'm being honest. Like, I almost don't want to count his first encounter with Mifune because Mifune kind of went easy on him. Technically, Mifune technically went easy on him. But if you want, you can kind of consider that a win. And then, of course, they fight that last time. I'm not going to count the second time because Black Star got his ass whooped. And then he was able to finally, you know, win a fight. But the bottom line is that Black Star was essentially the loser of the series. But for some reason, because of the fact that he never was like depressed or felt sorry for himself, he never really looked like a loser, at least not in my eyes. Like, he always came across as being that cool guy. Like, I remember when I was watching SoulEater, I've had moments, and it's a little embarrassing to say this, but I've had moments where I would actually pretend that I was like Black Star, like, you know, because like he's always loud and he's always like, you know, confident and he's always happy, saying all this stupid outrageous crap about oh, the world can't handle my arrival. And like I just always loved, like he had so much energy and passion for life, man. I always loved that about Black Star. I think that's what Tsubaki liked about him as well. I think that's why she kind of always liked to stick around him, despite the fact that, you know, they didn't win a lot of fights and they struggled. I think that she was very attracted to his, you know, his enthusiasm, because it was the kind of thing where Black Star, you know, he was never the type that felt sorry for himself. He just always kept forging ahead. He always kept announcing to everybody, hey, you know, I'm the best. There's nobody who's louder than me, who's stronger than me, who's faster than me. You know, I always loved that about Black Star, which is probably why he's like my favorite character in SoulEater. And truth be told, he's like, I think that he has like the coolest outfit in most, yeah, like, as far as main characters go, he has like one of my favorite outfits ever. But yeah, so I've always really liked the connection that Tsubaki and Black Star had. Mostly because Black Star was awesome. And Tsubaki was pretty hot. I don't really have too many feelings about her, aside from the fact that, you know, I don't really have a lot to say about her. I mean, she had a really cool fight when it came to her brother, but I think Tsubaki probably could have played a bigger role than she did. That's just my opinion. But yeah, she was cool. Def the Kid, it's kind of hard to say how I feel about Def the Kid. He had a cool look to him, and I think at the time he was very unique. Like, obviously, since 2008, there have been so many different anime shows that have come out with all sorts of quirky characters. I feel like Def the Kid was probably completely original for his time, and I personally thought he was very funny. Like, I would say he was one of the comedy relief aspects of SoulEater. And I like Liz. I like Patty. Especially Patty, because Patty just, she pretty much represents like that really quirky girl that you always would like if you were like in class, if you remember like being in high school or something, there was always be that one girl who just, you know, I don't know how to explain it, but she always she was just weird, you know what I mean? Like, she just said like fucking weird stuff, and she was very immature, but she was always kind of fun to watch and be around to a certain extent. Like, I always loved Patty's enthusiasm. And Liz was pretty cool. She was kind of the most, I think Liz was probably one of the most normal characters in the whole series when you really think about it. There wasn't really anything too special about her, but I liked her. Now, it's funny because I'm kind of going all over the place as I'm conveying my feelings for SoulEater. But, so when I first started watching SoulEater with my friend, I got a really good first impression from it. Like I said, I thought Maka was pretty hot. I loved, you know, seeing how close they were as friends in the first episode. And I felt really bad for Maka because of how much of an asshole her dad was. And like I said, in episode 2, I really, you know, being connected to Black Star and seeing how he was, you know, like I said, I saw him as being a cooler version as compared to Naruto. And like I said, Def the Kid was cool. Like, he wasn't the best character, but he was cool. He was very quirky, you know, very, you know, he was cool. I really liked Def the Kid. I also feel like the first maybe 6 episodes of SoulEater were probably the most funniest. Of course, after that, the series kind of takes a more serious turn once Corona gets introduced, and then that's when we start to see Maka and Soul's connection as partner and as Meister and Weapon really get tested. And then from there, we see the story evolve more as we get to learn more about Medusa. I think her name was Medusa, who I thought was pretty hot. I thought Medusa was always a pretty hot chick. So yeah, I think that's all I pretty much wanted to say. SoulEater was a really great anime back when I watched it in 2008, and I'm surprised that most people don't consider it to be a classic anime today. Because when you think about it, SoulEater has so much going for it. It has like great fight scenes, great animation. Probably my favorite soundtrack in anime of all time. Just fantastic music. Yeah, it's a great series. And also, one of the things that I loved about SoulEater was the character Excalibur. Let me see if I can remember how to sing a song. Okay. Excalibur from United Kingdom. Looking for him. I'm going to California. Excalibur from United Kingdom. Looking for him. I'm going to California. Excalibur. Excalibur! So I think that's pretty much all I want to say about SoulEater. So if you like SoulEater, and yeah, let me know in the comments. What did you think about SoulEater? Let me know! Peace out!